since we were taking so much sniper fire and a lot of roadside bombings and suicide attempts, they ended up shutting down the city, and no one was allowed in or out for about a 2 week time frame, because they were trying to get this sniper. They were trying to find the sniper. So we ended up living on that bridge. We had 8 guys on the bridge at all times.
Morante had said at one point, like, the smart thing to do, I think he brought it up to a higher up, was to get that post and move it back a little bit closer, like, because we're almost in the middle of the bridge. Before we got there, I think the unit before us was completely, like, they were right on top of the bridge, on the whole overpass.
It felt like pointless to be there. Like, honestly, it just, the way it was set up, it just didn't make any sense.
So everybody hated being on that post. That was like the worst one. You know, you had to carry just your basics. Like, you had to carry an extra pair, like, enough clothes for like 3 days. The guys who smoke, smoked enough cigarettes for the 3 days. We had if you wanted to use the restroom, we had something like a piss cup. We piss in there, and we dump it onto the side.
We had to be in there with flak and Kevlar the whole time we were there. Even if we, like, obviously we were there 2 to 3 days at a time.
So we would do rotations. Like, we would do like 3 days on that post, and then we would rotate. And this is with our platoon. We would rotate. So some guys, one squad would be there for 3 days, and then we would rotate to be on post for another 3 days, and then we would rotate to QRF. So that's how we were supposed to do that for, like, I think a month or something like that.
Something in my gut just felt like it was gonna be the bridge. All these IEDs are happening. Watch, the bridge is next. Like, it was just like a domino effect, right? It was Go Army Bridge. It was the Iraqi police station. They tried to hit the rib, and I was like, the bridge is next. Like, 286 is gonna be next.
Right before I was gonna grab the piss cup, Morante comes up to me and he tells me that what he had confessed about. Like, just, it was a joke. He didn't really tell me what he confessed about.
I told him a joke, and then after that he responded with, "Hey, Corporal, I really have to go to the bathroom. Do you have an empty, like, bottle of water that I can, go to the bathroom in?"
I reached over for the piss cup.
He grabbed it from my hand and turned around, and as he was walking away, he said something.
Right when I was reaching with my left hand.
And that's the last thing that I remember.
And that's when the explosion happened.
You just see a mushroom cloud in the air.
When I came to, I would see, like, it was black, complete blank, right? So I had my eyes closed.
Everything went black, but I felt myself in the air. Like, have you ever been, I always say, it felt like, have you ever surfed before or like been hit by a big wave and get tumbled under the water? Like, it felt similar to that, but like in slow motion. And I just remember seeing black, and then I saw white, and then black, and I saw white again, and that's when I hit the ground. And when I hit the ground, I tried to open my eyes, but there was a bunch of dirt inside my eyelid.
Coming to, and I hear ringing in my ears first, and this is before I even open my eyes, and then the sound starts to come back, right? And then shortly after, I hear yelling and I hear screaming, and I recognize the voice. And before I even opened my eyes, I thought to myself, fuck, we just got hit.
I didn't see my hand first. I tried to get up first, and then I felt the pain from my feet, and that's when I fell back, and I tried to wipe my face. That's how I went, because I felt the pain from my feet, and I fell back. And so then when I saw my hand, like the back of my hand was literally touching like my elbow, so it was like just like dangling here. And that's when I realized, like, and it was every time, like, I started freaking out. So I was like, oh no, that's not good. And there was just blood, like fountain of blood, just shooting out like that, squirting.
So then I open my eyes and I still see black, right? And there is something covering my body, and I'm completely covered in debris. So I use my right hand to extend my arm and push up as far as I could. This block of concrete that was in front of my face was completely laying on top of my body. I give it its one and last final push, and it like timbers over and falls, and I see a big dust, of sand and just dirt. I could not move my left arm at all. So I looked down at my wrist, and my wrist is snapped back, and my fingers were just twisted in a way to where it was just dangling. So a piece of the concrete, when it landed on me, slammed onto my left wrist, and it fell on my face and it covered my body. So when I sat up, my left arm, I could not move it at all. And then I ended up sitting up completely, and my right leg, my boot was actually by my hip, like in a backwards L shape, right? So my boot was back here, and I was just pulsating blood coming out from in between my shin and knee area.
I thought, okay, I lost all my limbs in my idea, like what I was thinking about. And then I wiped my face with my right hand, and I just looked at my hand, and I was like, well, I still got at least one good limb. But I thought that I had lost my feet, because my feet were it was super painful when I tried to get up.
Right. So my foot's backwards. Again, I'm spitting dirt, debris. I got all this grit in my mouth, and I'm trying to clear a passageway so that way I can take that initial breath of just clean air. And I've got just a bunch of stuff going on. So I was spitting blood, and it's very thick and coagulated.
And I just lay there looking up in the sky, and I was remember thinking, why me? Like, why did this happen to me?
So when I took that first spit, something popped up and hit me in the face, and I could just see kind of the shadow of it. It just kind of like went up and stuck, and then I saw it slowly drop. And then I was using my tongue to kind of get more of that grit and rock and pieces of stuff like that, shrapnel, and then spit again, and then again that piece would pop up and then slowly slide its way back down. I'm like, what is that? Well, it was my lip.
Well, I knew that I wasn't the only one that was hit. I knew that Big Mendes was hurt because he was screaming, but I thought that Morante was okay, because I heard Morante say this. I remember him telling Mariquin, he's like, get on the radio, but in the calmest voice. Like, he didn't scream it, he didn't yell at it, he didn't yell at Mariquin. He just like, Mariquin, get on the radio.
That concrete hit my face as well. It broke my teeth, my forefront teeth, in half. Ended up shattering my cheekbones. I had a shattered jaw, a scratched cornea. The impact of it, gave me a closed skull fracture.
And then I was out there, and I see a squad of Marines. I think it's Sergeant Massad's squad, that literally start running towards the bridge. Like, they didn't even care. They didn't ask, from what my understanding is, they didn't even ask for permission. They just started running. They were already patrolling out in the city, and you just see a squad like run by the front gate where we were at. And then QRF, a quick reaction force, was finally released after that, after they figured out it was the bridge. But yeah, it was something like I said, it was a gut feeling for me.
I remember this is a memory that I'm gonna have to live with for the rest of my life. And it's difficult to talk about, because it's Doc Thompson. Doc Thompson was bigger than all of us. He was a big Navy corpsman. He was bigger than all his Marines, and he was just a strong dude, strong as an ox. And to see him the way he was that day was very traumatic. So when we were going back to the fob, they had one of the other corpsmen had opened up Doc Thompson's flak jacket and was rendering CPR on him because he was dying. And I remember looking over to look at Doc Thompson, and his eyes were rolling to the back of his head. He was just completely out of it. And I don't know. I don't know what to do. So I started crying. And then I reached over and grabbed onto Doc Thompson's flak jacket and started crying, because these are my brothers,
When I saw Morante come in, his leg was, the one he lost was in a completely like opposite of how it was supposed to look like, like a regular leg. And I was like, fuck. And then when I saw Doc Thompson, I was like, in my head, I was like, he's dead. Like, You couldn't see him breathing. He just had like a piece of plastic in his nose. How the fuck does this happen? How did we let this happen?